us for our official Work Your Wednesday. It's our first one and we're super excited. And today we are talking all about the digital buyer presentation. So if you haven't heard about it yet, you're going to hear about it now and we are going to dive in because it's pretty awesome. So let's get started. My name is Riley, by the way. I'm one of the marketing coaches here at Properties, and I am joined with Laura Perez as well, who is also another marketing coach. And we're going to take you through the buyer presentation. All right, so what is on our agenda for your Work Your Wednesday today? Our first thing is going to be to do that DBP. You'll hear me refer to it as that digital buyer presentation, little overview of it, and then an actual demo of it as well, so you can learn how to use the tool, how to create your own buyer presentation. Then we're going to talk about 3 ways to leverage that digital buyer presentation. The first one being re-engaging buyers in your CRM. You know, we talk about the CRM all the time. We're going to bring that back in on our training today. Second thing is going to be following up with an open house with our 8x8 plan. This is a custom plan that we have for you guys. It's great to follow up an open house. And then finally, how to promote on social media. Social media, of course, is the talk of the town. So we're going to bring that in here, and then we'll wrap it up with some next steps, some takeaways. So there are some action items you can walk away with today to really challenge yourself to use this digital buyer presentation. All right, so that digital buyer presentation, this basically is a presentation that we have very similar to the digital listing presentation, if you will, but meant for buyers in this. And it's going to help you empower, it's going to empower you to demonstrate your abilities and offerings to prospective clients. So as we work with buyers, we really want to showcase, all that you offer. And this presentation is going to help you do that. It conveys the buying process, so that step-by-step process. It's going to convey breakdown, so it's really easy to understand and digest to your buyers. It showcases your expertise in the local real estate market. And then finally, it highlights a distinctive value proposition in a clear and concise manner. Value props are so important when it comes to real estate and marketing yourself, and this really outlines that for you. So I am going to dive into it now with a little bit of a live demo. So give me one moment while I pull that up. We're going to jump right into platform.
And just for some housekeeping, as Riley is going through the tool, there is a Q&A section right in here, and I'll be answering any questions as we go along, just so we don't interrupt too much of the flow. And if we don't get to any, we'll just kind of recap at the end. So throw your questions in the Q&A for us, please.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. Yes, definitely do that. All right. So as you can see, I am in platform right now. This is how you will be able to access that digital buyer presentation. So in platform, you can simply type in the side DBP, and it's going to bring up your digital listing and digital buyer presentation section. I'm going to select that, and it is going to take you where we can actually create a digital buyer or listing presentation. Now, if you can see here, this is where you'll be able to see any presentations that you've created previously. Over on the right-hand side, we have this Add New button. I'm going to select that button, and that's where I can actually select the listing or buying presentation. What's nice about this is it's very similar to creating a listing presentation. It's just tailored towards buyers, but that process is pretty similar. So I'm going to go ahead and select buyer presentation, and I'm just going to take you through a few of the windows that you'll see when creating it. So if you scroll down, I'm going to fill out just a few test information now to get us through to the next steps. But basically, we have some information about the presentation itself here. What do we want to name this presentation? This is really up to you for right now. I'm just going to name it a test presentation. But this can be anything from targeted to the client that you're working with, a digital buyer presentation, however you want to phrase that, you can here. All right, oops. Alrighty, and then your agent name will show up here. And then if you ever want to add a co-listing agent, which that's more applicable for listing, but if you're on a team, you're working with someone, you can also put their information right here. Property address, if you want to include information about where they currently live, you're able to do so in this area, but you don't have to fill this out. If I keep scrolling down, this is where we have the opportunity to add in those clients. And so this is where you can add a primary, and a secondary client. Should there be two people that you're working with and you want to include them on both of the communications, you can do so by simply selecting this plus button. And what's nice is if they're already in your CRM, we simply just look them up in the CRM by typing in their name or email address. If they're a new client, we can then fill out that information right here. So you could input that information, and what's cool is then they'll be added into the CRM as well. So you have a few options there. Next, we have our title screen options. And as you can see here, we have a few things or a few options to choose from. You can simply select which one that you align with most and that you like the best. And then also, if you want to include this information on the title slide, you can as well. The address, the client's names, or if you wanted to put something custom in there, you have the opportunity to do so. If I keep scrolling down, I can save and go to the next section, and it's going to take me to the next part where I can add in a few pieces of information about myself as the agent. So first thing is going to be that headshot. All of this is going to pull from your profile in platform, which is really great. So a lot of this information you probably will not have to even edit. And if you're noticing something is missing, this is just a really great opportunity to jump into your profile and platform and make sure you update that info. So first thing is going to be your headshot. Next, we'll pull your bio. We have a short bio and a full bio option as well here that you can showcase. Again, you can always just click edit bio, edit headshot to update those things, and it will update in your profile in platform. If I keep scrolling down, if there is a video that you want to display, you can add that here. This would be like a brand video or maybe a listing video that you're showcased in that you really like to use to showcase to your clients. This is a great place to put that. Highlights are where we can include some information about yourself. Maybe it's a statistic or a fun fact about yourself, whatever you really want to highlight to your clients. This is where you can put those in. And then finally, we have a testimonials section down here. And this is where you can include past testimonials from your clients. This will also pull from your profile, and you get to select up to 12 to be displayed in this presentation. So you could click edit testimonials and add those testimonials in. We also have the opportunity to feature your proper rate loan officer here, and you can simply just toggle this on or off. If you're currently working with one, you can showcase their information. It's really easy to pull in, and then they're showcased in that presentation. So then you can touch on the opportunities that your client has when working with proper rate for their loan. We can always go back to the previous section if we ever need to make any updates, but I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Next section to move forward with the presentation. This is a place where you can showcase any active listings. So in this active listings section here, this is where you'll be able to see all of your current active listings. And again, if there's no listings at this time, we always say no sweat, don't worry about it. This section will automatically be removed from the presentations if you don't have any listings to showcase. So keep that in mind. But if you do want to showcase some, you can showcase up to 12. You can organize them however you would like. They will automatically pull in from the DMS. And then you can also enter them on your own as well. So if there's anything that's not pulling or maybe something that's coming tomorrow and it's not showing up, you can go ahead and enter your own too. Now we can keep moving forward with the Save and Next section. And this is where we can put our recent sales. Very similar thing to active listings. It will pull all of your recent sales. You can enter in your own sales if you'd like. You can organize them by what sale you want to showcase first. And again, if there are no sales that you want to include, this section will automatically be removed so you won't see it at all. And you can include up to 12 properties in this area. All right, now here is where we can actually preview the presentation, kind of look at everything that we put in it. If I scroll down here, I can see on the right-hand side here, this is where I'm able to send a test of the presentation. I always recommend sending a test to yourself just to see what it looks like before you send this out to anyone. And what you can do here, you can send that test, or you can share with a client. So sending the test, it would just be going to my email. So your agent email would be in here. The subject line right now is that digital buyer presentation for app properties. And we already have a default message in here. Now you have the ability to update this message, which is really awesome. So you can customize it to your client. We always talk about how can you stand out from other agents? How can you really create a relationship with people, and this is a great opportunity to do so. If there's something that you've connected on, that you've been chatting about, or that you have in common, highlight this in this section, because this is a way that you can really build that connection while also sending something of great value. Okay, so we can then do that and click send email, and it's simply just going to go to myself so I can take a look to see how everything looks. And then I can also, when I'm ready, click share to client. And this is where I would be able to enter in my recipients. I could put their email addresses here. It's going to show that subject line and that email message as well. And I would simply click send the email. Now to preview this presentation, I can just click the preview button up here in the right-hand corner. It's that blue button, and it's going to pull up that presentation for me. So nice, so crisp. We love how it looks. And I can just scroll down, and it's going to have all of that information that we've included. Now, if I keep going down, you could see all of the different pages that just flow super nicely. Everything looks very professional. I won't go through the whole thing right now, but just wanted to show you that's how you can actually preview that presentation. All right, I'm gonna go back here to my email settings. This is pretty much like the end of the path here when creating the presentation. This is where we would leave it, and then you would send this off to your client to open and use, and so on and so forth. Laura, are there any questions that you're getting a lot of that I can point out at this time?
Yeah, so not really functionality questions, more so advancements, which is great. We're always loving new suggestions and new additions. So I've addressed a few in some of the Q&A, but we can talk through them really quickly because they're very specific to the tool. So currently, integrating proper rate lenders is the only integration that we can do. I know adding additional lenders is in the suggestion box. There's just a lot that goes into that, making sure that the logo is correct, making sure the disclaimers are correct. So that's a little bit of a touch point, but definitely in the suggestion box already. The additional question that we're getting a few different times is about us customizing this a little bit more. So as we have in the digital listing presentation, we can add a branded marketing piece. You could add your agent brand book if you wanted to. That isn't a functionality in the DBP right now, but I know it is in the works. That's definitely something immediately that everyone reached out about. I did make a suggestion in the Q&A about maybe utilizing that video function that Riley pointed out as a buyer-centric video potentially. Introducing yourself, it could be in the similar format we are now, kind of have a nice background. I could record something just about me and what I like to do for buyers, and maybe adding those specific details that I feel set me apart from other brokers, and putting them right in there. The other question is adding a buyer CMA if the buyer's in the process of buying a specific property. I've got that a few times in the Q&A in the chat. I would just like to say that based on the timeline of the ideal usage of this tool, you would have long sent this DBP, right? Because if you're already in communication with that buyer and you're already working with them and they're actually looking at a specific space, you would have already formed that relationship ideally. So I don't know if that's an integration that is on the docket yet, but I definitely encourage putting it in the suggestion box. You know, and additionally, you can send that out as an extra touch. Can't hurt. So creating the digital CMA and sending that out independently will work as well. Rich, you said you've used it to follow up with potential buyer groups you've met. How can I send a generic message to multiple email addresses? So what you can do, Riley, can you show us how to utilize the DBP and create a link with it? Because maybe that'll be a great transition to creating a QR code with it and so on and so forth. Can you show us in the preview how to just grab that hyperlink? So that would be easy for your question, Rich.
Yep. So once we pull this up and preview it, once it's basically finalized and ready to go, this hyperlink up here, this is something that I can then use to share. This is now going to be a live link that I can utilize to actually share the presentation. So I'm simply going to copy and paste this. So a Control C will do that job. Copy and paste that link. And then if I go back into platform and I type in QR to get our QR code generator, I can pull that up. I could just share the link just how it is. But if I wanted to create a QR code of it, I could just click in here, enter your URL. Well, I copied that, so I'm going to paste that right in here. Let's say this is the DBP, and I'm going to generate it. I'm going to give it a sec to load. It's going to say, do you want a PNG or an SVG? A PNG is typically the file that we would like for this, and I'm going to click download. And just like that, you have your QR code ready to go. So this is now something that we can place on a lot of different marketing collateral. So if you would want to put this on mailers, if you want to put it on a flyer, a bio flyer, use it in your brand book, you name it, we can put this on a lot of different places. And so this, if you were to scan this, would then bring up that digital buyer presentation, which is awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Riley. So we have a few more questions in here that I'd love to address. So one being, Linda asked if the buyer process is included anywhere in there. So you do mind looking at the final presentation to show them where their buyer process is? Because I do think it's outlined really well. And while Riley's pulling that up, Patty asked about integration of Zenlist. Is there a way to integrate that relevant listing into this? We are working on integrating Zenlist in there. I know that that's kind of on the top of the list there. We just talk about the fact that you have access to Zenlist and the benefit of that, but integrating any search that they already have or kind of an easy hyperlink to their search or just Zenlink in general. I know that that's definitely something they're working on. And then inclusion, Elizabeth, of inspectors, lenders, and attorneys. Again, that would be part of the customization piece. You could have like a one-pager you put together, maybe in your buyer brand book that you might be creating. You can load that in there. We cannot do that as of yet, but I know that that's something that they're working on adding. But again, that could be something you integrate in your video. Again, a buyer-specific video where you're saying you have these list of vendors, you have these kind of people in your back pocket that will help navigate them through the transaction. I think that would be a great video addition. And while those tangible pieces are really, really beneficial, I think that interaction with seeing your face, your voice, all that emotion will really go a long way.
Awesome. So here's that buying process, and it breaks it down to buying game plan. And you can see here the steps here. So it talks about our different steps about getting pre-approved. And if I slide over, sorry, I have my Zoom in the way. On this bar here, we find your home, make an offer, escrow period, and it takes us through to closing. So that's our little snippet of the buying process.
Yep. And a couple more questions. Thank you for showing us that, Riley. If you are on a team and you've indicated that you're part of a team, when you start to put the input, the team sales should feed over as well. So that should not be an issue. And then you do get an email once, it's just like the digital listing presentation, you do get an email once a client opens the piece. So you do get notified, which is really great. So same process there. Can we add our logo as well to the QR code? That is a separate QR code lesson. But as of right now, no. So we cannot add logos to the QR codes as they stand. And I know that that's definitely been something in the suggestion box. You know, you could potentially outsource to other places like QR code generator and things like that. If you really wanted to customize your own piece, not a lot of those are free. So that's something that you would have to work into your business if you thought that was super beneficial to you. But there are resources for that. As it stands right now, the QR code generator in platform only allows us to use the app symbol one. If there are any other suggestions, like can the buyer process have a link towards the top of the presentation? I think that's great. So presentation that you create for yourself, Darby, maybe, or the one that's in the timeline. I think throw that in the suggestion box. I love that. I think we're always looking for ways to update and make things better. When we'll be able to send both DLP and BLP via text. So I know that based on our city sales meeting and other meetings we have, we just finished up in Indiana and Michigan. So shout out to everybody that came to that yesterday. So we are going to be able to text from our CRM, which is also integrated into all these tools, sometime in February. So look out for that soon. I'm sure more information is coming. Exclusive buyer agreement as an attachment. I think that's a great suggestion. Throw that in the suggestion box, please. I know, you know, it's same with the DLP, right? Well, it's really showcasing your abilities and the way that you're going to help the client list their property. We don't follow that up with the listing agreement as well, right? So I do think this kind of is a separate, more marketing piece, more general in the space of, again, articulating your value and what you can do for them. And so maybe you do use the route that Riley showed us, where we're able to pull that link and embed that in the body of an email where you can write a more specific message or a more detailed message. have a hyperlink for the DBP that you've created for them. And then you can add the listing docs there. That might be an option for you if you feel like that's better for you. Can we talk about organizing testimonials? We can do that. Grab the URL of my browser, send it as a text. You can definitely use it and send it as a text, Kevin. If that's something you're comfortable with. When you send it as a text, it's a hyperlink, so it will open just the same, obviously, as long as they're on a smartphone. So you're good there to use that as well. Awesome. I think we got through most of these. Is there an expiration date on the live link? Nope. I don't know of one. Ever since we've created these tools, I use them repeatedly. And I think from 2022, I'm still using some of the same ones. So I think we're good there. Is there a way to combine the DBP and the DLP presentations for clients who will be buying and selling? No, not currently, but like I just mentioned, if we want to coordinate something like that on your own, where again, you're creating your specific email in the body of an email, and you can have, this is what I do for a listing, hyperlink that DLP you've created for them. This is what I do for on the buy side, and hyperlink that DBP. That would kind of hit all angles as well there. But it's not currently integrated in the tool. And I just say that because I think specifically the hope is to have a better interpretation of what you do on each end rather than combining them and maybe making them a little bit more confusing, I guess, for lack of a better word. So I think maybe having that kind of outlined separately is just the design, right? Okay. Perfect. Let's move on to 3 ways to leverage the digital buyer presentation. So we can go to the next slide. First, we're going to talk about re-engaging buyers with the CRM. So you have a list of past and potential buyer clients in your CRM. Now is the opportunity to reach out to them and re-engage with them. So people that didn't close with you last year or said, I think I'm going to wait for rates, or really you're kind of in a time where rates may be digestible at this point, or just at a position where people realize that, they got to move. So there's a part where now here's a great way. We have some scripts that we've created, and we're going to send them to you, and just a way to re-engage with some of those people, whether that be 12 months out, 24 months out from, your last serious conversations, all of the people that you still have on your Zen list running, maybe that really haven't made any moves, or really kind of gotten to open houses, or really asked for showings, or showed a lot of interest lately, and you're still giving them valuable information. Now is the time to re-engage with them and kind of decide whether or not, they're worth your time this year, or is there something you can do to remind them again of your value, so that maybe now they think now is the time to move. So we'll have some call scripts, text, email, and just send this out. So I already had an agent mention, Kevin Baum, you said send this out as a text message. Super easy to do. So if text is the best mode of communication with this buyer, again, whether they're hot and heavy or you kind of haven't made a lot of contact recently, send them a text message and say, hey, just wanted to give you a new presentation I created, wanted to see what you thought about it, or use some of the scripts. I hope you've started 2024 on a positive note as we step into the exciting new year. And then to help you navigate this process, let's schedule a time to discuss so you can get in front of them. Right? How would we send in text, Holly? You just copy and paste that hyperlink that Riley showed us when you do the view presentation. We can grab that link and we can use it in a multitude of ways. Awesome. So re-engaging buyers, utilizing right through the CRM, and or sending a text, body of an email. We got all that. Cool? Nice. Then we're going to talk about using the digital buyer presentation as part of your 8x8 for follow-up with open houses. Now, I've talked about this a ton. Meg, actually, you can determine what's on that first presentation page, so you do not have to include their names. So there was a multitude of choices there. You could have done an address, the client's names, and or a custom message. So I've been using that in a lot of ways. Let's say for an open house as an open house for a digital buyer presentation. We just can have a QR code if we wanted, like Riley showed us how to create that. And we can have that there with what I can do for you as a buyer agent. That could be the text in the presentation itself. It doesn't have to be specific to a buyer, which is kind of a nice idea, especially if all of you are investing the time to sit with us today and learn how to use this tool better. I would love for you, even if you don't have a buyer in mind that you think you can use right now, take the time to create one that is maybe more generic, so you can use it in that process of sending it quickly, and you don't have to itemize the client names or the location or things like that, and really fine tune it when you don't need it. And I say that because that helps you when you do need it, get it out much faster. So take the time to do that, maybe after you get off this call. So a quick 8x8 on how to use the DBP as part of your 8 reaches right after people come to your open houses. So we put together this really quick 8-step process. Send them a thank you text or email. Now we'll send out some follow-up flyers to help you kind of stay on track, but making sure you send a follow-up thank you via text or email, whatever mode of communication they've given you, same day. I say this all the time, but before you turn the lights off and lock the door, you should be sending a thank you to everyone that visited that open house. It's a lasting impression. It shows that they matter. Again, whether they're working with a broker or not, it's just a thank you, just to be clear. Then the second follow-up with an email with the DBP, an easy outreach, because no, as we mentioned, it doesn't have to be client specific. We don't have to indicate their names on each piece, and that's fine to do. So again, we could embed this in the body of an email, again, thanking them once again for visiting so-and-so property. It was so nice to talk to you about your dog, about your move, about, you know, your new program and getting your degree here or there, something like that. And I say that because we always want to make that personal connection, and we can easily integrate the DBP into that. And then we can go through the rest of the touches, such as making sure you add them to your AdWorks campaign. So now you're advertising to them. You're going to go through all these pieces later. So I think stay tuned, because we might talk a little bit more about 8x8 outreaches for open houses in the future. Cool. Now I think we're going to our favorite topic, right? Right, Riley?
Yeah, social media is my favorite topic. I can talk about it forever. But promoting on social media, I know a lot of you guys as agents are ready to dive into social media, and this is a great opportunity to do so because the digital buyer presentation allows us to put out so much content. There's so much in it, so there's a lot to talk about that we can utilize on social media. So if you're that agent and you're ready to get started, now you can share and promote this on your social media channels. Ways that we can do this, I'll break all of these up, but the first one is going to be including your link in bio. So we talk about link in bio all the time. You hear that phrase, I'm sure. Now we can include the digital buyer presentation in your link in bio. We can add it to your highlight categories with regards to Instagram if you are focusing a lot on Instagram, and I can show you how to do that. We can create a reel out of it. So we can make this a video and we can share it on your platforms, share it across Facebook, TikTok, all of the good stuff. And then finally, we can share it as direct messages. So kind of similar to what we talked about, that first step, re-engaging buyers in the CRM, another opportunity instead of texting, calling. If you're on social media all the time, send a direct message with this link in it to reach out to people. So that's a great option as well. All right, let's say you want to put the digital buyer presentation in your link in your bio. So whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, typically all of these platforms allow you to have some sort of link in there. And now sometimes we can only put one link, which is fine. We can always use a different program where we can put multiple links under one link, but I won't get too in the weeds with that. But for Instagram specifically, let's say for an example, they now allow you to have a few different links in there. And so what we could do is we could go to your profile, and I have the steps listed out here, and we'll send you these slides. So if you wanted to follow this step by step, you could. You would go to your profile, you would edit your profile, and then you would select the link section. Here, it would give you all the list of links, and then this is where you can put in the digital buyer presentation link, okay? And so this is where people could then go to your bio, click that link, and then visit the digital buyer presentation. So when you talk about it, you can now say link in bio. Simply just click that link in my bio. When I posted a story about it, when I posted a post about it, a reel, whenever you refer to it, say, if you want to learn more, if you want to dive into this presentation, if you want to get all the good information, go ahead, just click that link in my bio. Okay, so that's what we can do there. Now let's talk about highlight categories, okay? So some of you may have heard of this, some of you may have not. On Instagram, it specifically applies. Basically, they're like little folders where you can organize all of the different content that you post on your social page. So here's a screenshot, and these blue circles here, these are all different highlight categories. So you can see here we have a Lincoln Park one, a Gold Coast, a Contact Me, testimonials. You can have anything in these sections. You could have a category for your hobby. You could have a category for buyers, for sellers. I would recommend creating a category for buyers. So whenever you talk about anything related to the buying process, anything related to the digital buyer presentation, you can save it into this highlight category. It just keeps everything organized. It looks really nice and professional when you visit a page. As you can see here, this looks really aesthetically pleasing. So I recommend creating a highlight category that is a buyer category, and then let's talk about the digital buyer presentation and let's save all that information in there so people can access it at any time, and then they can also visit that link simultaneously to see more about that digital buyer presentation. Again, I do have the steps right here that you can follow, and we'll send these slides out, but you're going to go to your profile. You're able to edit and add highlight categories right on the spot in your profile. So you would just add one. I would title it buyer most likely, or buyer resources, something like that. And then you can simply just start adding content to it. So anything you've posted about in the past that has to do with buyers, go ahead and put it in that folder. So when people click on that category, they see all of your content that has to deal with buyers. Then the next time you talk about that digital buyer presentation, save it to the buyers section and they can access it there as well. All right, so those are our highlight categories. Next, we have a reel or a video that we can create out of the digital buyer presentation. Now, this has a few more steps to it, and I'm happy to dive in this more, but I just want to give you a brief overview of how to actually get this on your phone, how to make a video out of it, and then how to post it on a ton of different platforms. So again, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, we can make a video and we can post it on all of those different platforms. So basically what your phone can do, if you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, I do not know, I did not research the Android guys, I'm an iPhone user. So if you have an Android, I'm sure we can find the steps for you. But with regards to you Apple users out there, there's a way to what we call screen record anything on your phone. So basically this process would look like opening up the digital buyer presentation on your phone. So if you send that link to yourself in an email, open that link on your phone. Now you're on your phone and you're just scrolling through the digital buyer presentation. It looks professional, it looks awesome. What we can do is we can screen record you scrolling through the digital buyer presentation, which basically is taking a video of the buyer presentation. Okay, it's a little complex to wrap your head around right now, but hopefully it will start making sense. So when we screen record, we have now recorded ourselves or a video of the digital buyer presentation, whether it's 30 seconds, you can make it really long and scroll really slowly. Whatever you would like, you can now create a video of this digital buyer presentation. When you're done screen recording, it saves into your camera roll, so you can access that video at any time. You could speed the video up, you could slow it down, you could pause it, you could chop it up into little pieces. You could do whatever you want when it comes to editing that video, but now that is a video you have of the DBP. Now we can visit Instagram, we can visit TikTok, we can go onto Facebook, and we can simply upload this video and share the DBP. So if we want to just leave it at that, we could put some music behind it. We can say, check out this awesome buyer presentation, learn about the buying process, whatever it may be. We can take it a step further, and you can even pop your face in front of it and you can talk about it live. So you can say, hey guys, check out this new digital buyer presentation that I just put together as it's scrolling behind you. I know we are so advanced now. And this presentation scrolling behind you and you're talking about, it includes the buying process. It dives into how to use a lender, how to get approved for a loan, all of these different things. And you're communicating with your audience while this presentation is scrolling behind you. It's a little bit more advanced when we talk about that, and I can always help you guys with it. If you have any questions, we can dive into those, but there are ways to take this to the next level and get this on your social out in front of people. So just remember this, if you ever want a video of it on your phone, we're gonna use that screen record option, and all of the steps right here. I even have a link on this page that you could dive in to learn how to do that. So I just wanted to plant the seed so you guys can get inspired by that. All right, finally, that last option with sharing on social media is direct messages. We talk about DMs all the time. And with direct messages, what you can do is simply just click the little plane icon up in the corner. Plane, it looks like a paper airplane to me. I don't know, whatever it looks like to you. That icon, that's what we're going for in the corner. And this is where you can search pretty much anybody. Go through your CRM, pull all of your people up and message them. Reach out and say, how's it going? I remember last year you mentioned you were interested in purchasing a property. Here's this awesome presentation that I have, and drop that link in there as well. You can even say, you can also get in my link in bio if you've put that DBP link in your bio. And so this is just how you can reach out to people on the platform with the digital buyer presentation. That's all things social media. Now I'm going to turn it over to Laura. She's going to finish us off here.
Awesome. So I know we built in time for Q&A, guys. So I love that the questions keep coming. I think it's super, super important for us to go through some of them. So a couple things. So the DBP has to be generic, so no names are visible, correct, when using the reels on social media. So like I mentioned before, that is a customized field. So you could put in there what I do as a buyer agent, something like that. Even if you're, doing quick form and you put your own name in that first section, it's fine because it doesn't feed out to the presentation. So definitely play with the tool a little bit, and then you'll be able to see the functionality of it a little bit clearer and showing you the ways that we can use this in a generic setting, which is what we're trying to do, right? The more eyes you can get on this piece, the better. We'd love to know how to add our faces in screen recording. Yeah, that's a separate conversation for sure, Riley. Definitely, YouTube is your best friend. So I use YouTube. I know Riley does, because we can't always know all things. So we might know 75% of it, and we need a little bit more. I hit up YouTube. I Google stuff all the time. So that might be a good resource for that. I love that you all help each other. Go ahead.
Super quick too. It's basically when you're adding filters, there's a filter called the green screen effect. And the green screen behind you would be the digital buyer presentation. And then it will automatically bring up your face and you can record those all together. So just search the green screen effect or how to use the green screen effect. And that's where you can get that info on it.
And we will be sending out the recording, just like Monday's recording, as well as the PowerPoint as well, just to make sure we're getting through all those things. And the questions are coming in super hot and heavy, which is great. I think, Susie, using this in your newsletter is an awesome idea. Why not put that in there and say, this is how, this is what I do for buyers, just as a reminder kind of thing. And if you have something like an e-newsletter that you're sending out consistently, I would add the DLP at one point. I would also add the DBP, which is what we're focusing on now. I think those are great opportunities. You never know. Again, we'll talk heavily about referrals in the fall. I know that's our third 90-day effort. But the point of that is really just because you feel like they don't have a need, right? Because you feel like you stay in contact with them and so forth, really giving them something that they could pass on to someone else in that referral opportunity, I think is huge. So, and thank you for all sharing how to screen record. They were going hot in here, Riley. It was great. And so, yeah, how to save a story. You can also go back to your archive and add that, which is really great. So thank you for sharing that as well. I think we have a bunch of social media experts in the chat already. So
I love it.
I love that. Tip on IG reels, they can cap out at 60 seconds and stories at 90 seconds. So don't get too long. Andy, I love that tip. We are finding a lot of traction in more long form videos. So we can talk about that in the future, but 60 to 90 seconds are a great opportunity. I think that's kind of like really the what is it, perfect space right now for between 60 and 90 seconds for people to really engage. And I know we talked about it at the city sales meeting, but we can't really gauge our traction on social media by just likes and even comments and things right now. Shares are really the way that we're going to really grow on social media. So I think that's a really nice opportunity for us to realize that something like this valuable content that we're sharing, I think is an opportunity for someone else to share as well. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So these are our next steps. So we are talking about the outreach agent, the open house agent, and the social media agents. So we threw a lot of ideas your way. We would love to implore you to pick one strategy you think will work best for you to implement and execute on a regular basis, as well as maybe the one that you think your sphere would respond to the most, because it's kind of both, right? They have to marry each other. So we want to make sure that you provide success for yourself and really engage in this space. So if you're the outreach agent, choose 5 to 10 people each week in your CRM to send the DBP to. Don't forget to log your outreach in the CRM. That's beneficial to you to make sure you're staying on track, because we talk about that all the time, but you may have 100 people in your sphere, and 10 of those people are really engaging and really great to talk to, but we can't forget about the other 90. So if we put that in our CRM, it'll always keep us on track. And then host your open houses if you're the open house agent. Collect the potential buyer data when that opens, and use the 8x8 plan to go ahead and get in front of more people. Again, and so don't forget to log in your CRM so you stay in contact with those people, and really stick to an 8x8 plan so you can gauge whether or not they're going to be interested in working with you. You make them feel important, which is huge. Share the DBP with one of the 4 social media tactics shared today. Don't forget to log your outreach in the CRM as well. So if you're using the DM approach, like Riley mentioned, and that is totally a paper airplane, it's the best. If you're using the DM, make sure you log that. So that's in a good space. If you're using the videos, do that. And I think you might have mentioned this, Riley, but I was reading a lot of questions, but making sure to utilize something like pinning your post at the top of your Instagram. I can't remember if you said that, but that's a little something super easy to use, because if you do maybe this for the DBP, since that's our focus today, but you become a master and you also do this for the DLP, you can also pin that at the top of your Instagram as well. So you make sure that every time someone ventures onto your Instagram, or every time someone ventures onto your Facebook, they're seeing kind of that important information first, because you can also pin on Facebook as well. So super easy stuff for us to use. And there's a ton of people in the chat looking for social media managers. So if anybody has a question about that, question about the 8x8, do you send the follow-up email with DBP the same week after you have an open house and send the thank you follow-up, or do you wait until the next week? Oh no, Jeremy, we are on these people 8 times within 8 days. That is an 8x8 plan. So that is like very intentional outreach, like breadcrumbs essentially. So you make sure that they're kind of getting information from you. I think there's an impression there that you're making by reminding them that they're important to you, right? So if I send you a thank you on a Sunday before I shut off the lights and I leave this place, and then I don't reach out to you again until the following Friday, I really haven't shown that consumer that they're important to me. And so I think that's the goal there, by making sure that it's intentional 8x8. I think it's huge. Ad assist should add a social media division. Okay, this is great input, guys. And Riley, since you have control of the screen, can you do me one favor, please? Can we show all these lovely agents where the suggestion box lives on platform? Because I think it's an important thing for them to know.
Hang on, I gotta get out.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you have platform open. I know you do. We always do. So make sure we go to that. How long I log outreach that aren't the names that pop up. I've just been writing them down on a notebook. Okay. How do I log outreach that aren't the names that pop up? Oh, okay. That's a little bit of CRM, Joellen, but it's super easy to do. When you go into your CRM, you would just go to your clients, find the person that you're doing outreach for, and log outreach, just like you would. So they don't have to pop up for you to go ahead and log them. Cool. So,
okay, so go ahead, Laura.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yep. Just up here, up at the top, you can see where it says send feedback. Depending on what your suggestion pertains to, you can select the department here. Go ahead and type in your subject and your message and click submit. And I have to say, our teams are very responsive to this and take this feedback. They do not take it lightly. They take it very seriously. So if there is something that you truly want to have implemented or think would be great for a tool and platform, whatever it may be, go ahead and type it in the section here.
Sure. We will send out the slides and we will send out the recording as well. And with that, we'll send the supplemental information we talked about. So some scripts that we talked about using the DBP for phone calls, emails, text messages, that kind of outreach. And then we will also send the slides, like I mentioned. In India, I am sure we will do a CRM class sooner than later. But if you don't have time to wait for that, you can, if you click on the little learning cap on the full screen of platform, there are some recorded classes in there that might be really good for you to kind of just brush up on. It's just the basics of it, right? How to do outreaches, how to log your outreaches, where the information lies, how to rank, things like that. So I would love for you to take advantage of that. And just, there's lots of good resources on there. Our hope is to always be available and be able to answer the questions real time. But there is a resource, if you're a night owl and we're not available, there's a really great place for you to do that. Cool. Awesome. Okay, does anybody have any last minute questions? A lot of thank yous. We want to watch this and miss the beginning. We're going to do that. We're going to send that out. So anybody that's registered for Accelerate90, you are now in the loop on the agent app for Accelerate90. So that's where all these will be posted. And I don't know about you, but every time something is posted in a loop that I'm following or that I'm added to, I do get an email notification. So you should have all gotten an email notification about the video that was loaded from Monday. And that was the all call. And then this will be loaded there as well. Cool. You're going to be the first one to post the green screen reel. I love that.
Rock all right, on. I'm gonna follow everybody, and we're gonna see how many green screen reels we got.
And I just want to say, I know social media is such a hot topic all the time, right? Because, well, one, we know it's important. It's still free for us to use, so we need to maximize that. But also, it's ever changing, and the evolution of it is so dramatic and fast paced that it's not an easy thing to keep up with, if we're being honest, right? So I think making sure that you do what is comfortable for you and you learn little bits and pieces at the same time is important. But in the same token, I want to let you know that we all follow each other in the real estate industry. I'm sure you have hundreds of friends at this point that are real estate agents, but that doesn't mean your entire sphere follows them. So what I mean by that is when you see something that you're sharing, that we all have now this great idea, that doesn't mean the other 350 agents that were on this call are sharing to the same people. So it's okay. And also, it's your face, and your sphere should like your face better than your competitors, right? So this is a friendly space for us to share ideas, get some good stuff out there, and social media is just the platform to do it. So I love that you gave us some really great ideas, Riley. So thank you for that. If you update your generic DBP, will it change the URL? Can you track visits to the DBP? It does not change your URL. It's the same one. So if you had generic, any edits you make in there, that's the same link and hyperlink to use. And then if you use a hyperlink, there is no way to track traffic on that. If you send the DBP similar to the DLP, if you send it through the platform to a specific person, you can track the opens there. One other person asked if you can track the length of time and things like that, that they spent in certain places. It's not similar to that tool that we used to have, but it does track whether or not it was opened, and it'll tell you how many times it was opened and so forth. But again, that's only if you're sending it directly through the tool as opposed to using the hyperlink. So there's plus and minuses to using either way. And if you're using it more generically, finding out if it was opened or not might not be super helpful because you're not really certain who's opening it if you're using that same kind of hyperlink over and over again, which is why the ability to see it open if you're sending it to a specific person, I think is pretty helpful. So and then you can follow up with a text message or a phone call, just thinking about you because I saw you open this thing. Not bad at all. So next week's Accelerate90 is actually the DBP again. We'll go through a lot of the same tool and so forth. We're doing it back to back in 2 weeks. One, because, a lot of the questions we answered today and all those that are participating might go try it and come back with more questions. So we want to make sure that we're doubling up kind of on the communication on the different tools that we're talking about. So the goal is to really make you all masters at these. That's our hope. Does that make sense? Going. Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll take all the love. So we appreciate all the thank yous, but I think we're going to start watching social media to make sure everyone implements it. That's our goal here, right?
Thank you, everyone, so much for joining. We really appreciate you taking the time. We look forward to seeing you next Monday. And again, remember those takeaways. Just pick one. Whichever agent you align the most with, that is your challenge for this next week, this next quarter, implementing it for the entire year, whatever that means to you. But just pick one. We just got to start somewhere. So Have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much.